As far as challenges, like, it was probably one of the most natural things that happened for me.
Meet Gokor Ambaryan. As a 300-pound kid growing up in LA, he was told there wasn't much he could do at his size. But an undefeated MMA career, plus opening his own gym here in Las Vegas to lead the next generation of fighters, would prove otherwise. A journey which began 20 years ago.
I was training in a lot of martial arts from a very young age. So, like, even at 4 years old when I started, I was doing karate and judo. It wasn't just judo. When I really started training for a fight, I would probably say I was about 18, 19 years old, and then I ended up fighting my first fight at 20.
And the critics in his life, like his own coaches, served as fuel towards his upcoming career.
Most of my competitive career as far as fighting was just to prove a point that, I can do this, you know what I mean? My whole life when I was growing up, especially because I was a heavy-set kid, I was very big, and doing athletics, coaches and people at schools and stuff, they told me I'd never be able to do anything with it because I'm just too big. So when I started really getting into MMA, I knew, like, I can't fight at this weight, I'm way too big. So I gotta start losing weight. Then once I started fighting, it was like, hey, y'all told me I couldn't do this, but guess what, I'm here.
But Gokor now has a different source of motivation. In his final MMA bout, he pointed to his students being the driving factor in his farewell match.
Once I started teaching, none of my guys saw me compete or saw me in that aspect. And I'm the type of guy that preaches, I want you guys to go compete. I want you guys to go and see what it is. But they had never seen me, so I was like, okay, how am I preaching something without me doing it first? So that was the purpose behind that. When it comes time to go and fight and go and compete and go do this, and I can't sit there in the corner, it is one of the scariest experiences ever. I'd rather be in the ring getting my butt kicked than not there in that corner giving them instruction. So I just realized, I'm like, hey, Gokor, you're either gonna have to do this fighting thing full time, or you're gonna have to do this coaching thing full time. You can't stay in between, because the in between is, you're not gonna be good at either. And so after the fight, I just kind of told myself, I'm done.
But that's only half the journey. Ambaryan started with very little real estate when it came to opening a gym right after moving from Los Angeles.
When I started here in Vegas in 2016, I started in a garage in the middle of the ghetto. We literally had about maybe 400 or 500 square feet of mat space, which is tiny. I literally just put my head down and grinded, man, I knew I didn't have the space or the facility, so, I was always one that was like, okay, if I can't give people a big show as far as the gym, then I really gotta make sure my instruction's good. Later down the line, I ended up taking over this space. I had half of this room before, and as of December of 2018, we decided we were gonna expand, and so, we have a nice new facility now.
And this new facility is where Gokor is able to teach combat sports to students of all ages and see success sprout all across the mat.
I have students in my kids program that are 3 years old, and then I have students in my adults program that are probably in their mid to late 50s. I don't know exactly an age, but the age varies very much so. We have won team titles at a couple of major tournaments, and that's a very big deal for me, because some of the tournaments that we've won them at, there's 300-400 teams and we're placing in the top 3, especially considering like I'm taking only 10 guys. My MMA team over the last 2 years, our record is like 12-1.
For those skeptical about grappling, Gokor sums up why he believes it surpasses any other sport.
If I have a parent that's bringing in a kid, let's say 4 years old, then what I try to tell them is, nothing is gonna build confidence, character, and discipline and self-defense. Like those 4 things, right? Than jiu-jitsu or grappling. And the only reason I say that is because that was the perfect example of me. I literally grew up with that. I started training when I was 4 years old. I'm 24 right now, and I'm still training. And I think the principles that I was taught very early on, being on the mat, carry all the way through. I never knew, my parents never knew when I started this that I would have opened up my own gym or competed or whatever. But that was also never the goal with it. The goal was hey, we got a short little chunky kid that's being a little bit of a troublemaker and we want him to lose weight. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna put him in and, hopefully he loses weight and learns something.
When Ambaryan sees his students grow in combat sports and as people, it is an unmatched feeling that he strides towards.
And when they come in and they master all of the warm-ups, and then you start teaching them technique, and then they get the techniques down, and then you start watching them wrestle and roll, and they're so confident and they have so much fun with it, that it just, that is probably one of the best feelings for me, because these kids are literally growing up in front of my eyes, and they're getting better, and the parents are telling me, hey, they're doing better at home, they're doing better at school, and that's what it's ultimately about for me.